What happens when you take one of the world's funkiest drummers, convert him into MIDI, add a dash of guiro, and have Charlie Hunter play guitar on top of it all? You get this week's
Beat of the Week from your rack.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Beat of the Week, and we've got a very special guest on drums this week, the late great Clyde Stubblefield. We're listening to him right now, and not sure if you can also hear it, my neighbor is mowing, not quite as famous or legendary, but a nice guy who likes to mow as the sun is going down. So take it for what you will. Let's dive into this. So this is a beat from the session called You Said that's available on Your Rock. We have the multi-tracks, the stereo loops, and the MIDI of Clyde, which is a very special thing to have. We're very fortunate. These tracks were actually recorded back in 2001 at Butch Vig's studio, Smart Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, when Butch was working out of there. And my friend Leo Sidron was the producer on this session, worked with Clyde. None of this was even to the click. It was just Leo calling out different funk grooves, you know, the famous breaks that Clyde had played on. And they tracked it all in Pro Tools, but again, not to a click. So when it came time to release these as loops, I had to do a little bit of magical massaging to get them onto the grid, but we did. Nothing was quantized. We just have the one of every downbeat is directly on the one, and everything else is the magical loose Clyde field that he's famous for. So right now we're just listening to the audio loops, but to help kind of add some impact to it, I took the same MIDI loop that we have exact matching MIDI loops to all the audio loops, and put it here into Logic. You can hear it now, but I just took the kick and snare pattern, and I took the Ultra Beat, which is, if you guys use Logic, it's been around forever, and it obviously hasn't been updated, at least the interface, which I still kind of love. It's very mid 2000s, but it's a great little drum machine, and I'm using it to trigger. I wanted a kind of a deeper kick with more impact, and then a snare with a little more crunch on it to mix in. If you hear it together, you can hear how it mixes. But this is a great technique for if you've got a drum loop and you're not really crazy about the kick or the snare, or you just want to add kind of another sonic layer to it. Take the MIDI of that loop or convert it to MIDI, load up some kind of drum sampler like the Ultra Beat, and just have that play along with your audio drums, and it really fills out things nicely. And then you can even I'm on this preset called Adept Machine. If I was to move that, you get more, crazier sounds, but you can always mix that in. But for today's loop, Adept Machine was the one. Cool, so once I had that groove going, it's very 8th note dominated with the hat with some ghost notes, but I wanted to add some 16th notes. And the best way to do that, after looking through some percussion libraries that we had, was I found a guiro loop, which I'm not sure if you know. If you know what those are, it's the wooden fish. That's the guiro. Does that kind of vibe with a stick, but I don't have a stick. I should have a stick. Damon Grant, amazing percussionist, based out of New York, the New York City area, has a library with us, and I snagged one of his guiro loops, which sounds like this. Expertly played. And that helped provide some forward momentum to the drum groove. So if we listen to all three together, you'll see what I'm talking about. And I didn't want it, too heavy in the mix and dominating, but if you just tuck it in there, you get that lilt, that little kind of push forward that just kind of helps the groove along. And then to take things to the final step, I went and took a look into Charlie Hunter's loop library and pulled out. There was a session called Sauce, and it's his loop library that he did with the great Carter McLean on drums. It's called The Duo, and it's just them, Charlie on guitar and bass. He plays bass and guitar at the same time, which is it's a whole other thing, which I get into. And if you read the blog, you can learn more about that. But these grooves with Carter were just insane, super funky. They just sat down and tracked everything in a day, and then passed the files on over to me. And this is one of those guitar loops. So let's take a listen to that. So kind of a nice dirty tone, funky, and like I said with Charlie, he's playing the bass and the guitar at the same time. So that's him doing the low notes and the comping and the kind of lead line. So he's like, you know, a freak. I don't want to call him a freak, but he's kind of a freak in the nicest way possible. Super awesome guy, but he's a freak. So when we put it all together here in Logic, what does our beat of the week sound like? So there you have it, beat of the week, number 3. And like always, just go to the blog, scroll all the way to the bottom and hit the big download link, and you'll get the Logic session, all the loops, even the artwork if you want to make a poster or, I don't know, do something with it. And please use these loops, make your own creations, make new songs. Just tag us, like always, beat of the week and Yurt Rock. And until I see you guys again next week, take care and have a good night. See you guys. Bye.